Hello, and welcome back to the Reading Foundations course. Today we will work through module number 6. So far during this course, we've kept a pretty strict focus on reading. But today I want to teach you that good reading teachers use writing to help students think about reading and to deepen students' understanding of reading. And we do this by explicitly teaching students how to write about reading, by giving students a repertoire of ways to write, such as on sticky notes and in reading notebooks, and we give readers the opportunity to write before, during, and after reading. Take a look at this quote by Benjamin Bergen. It says, "We understand language by simulating in our minds what it would be like to experience the things that language describes." Reading teachers know that experiencing language is a way to process ideas, and therefore, writing helps to process ideas about reading. Take a minute to think about all the authentic reasons you used writing this month. Some of the things I did was, I wrote a grocery list, I wrote notes in the margins of a professional text that I read, I wrote a birthday card, and I wrote lesson plans. And just like we write for authentic reasons, students should have opportunities to write authentically as well. Some real reasons for students to write could be to remember their thoughts, to organize their ideas, to communicate with others, to express their feelings, and to discover their thinking. When processing texts, students may also want to write timelines, pro and con lists, use boxes and bullets to organize notes, create T-charts, and they may want to draw pictures and label them to remember information. There are many different levels of thinking that students access when reading. All of these thoughts can be processed and memorialized through writing. For example, students can write about how they feel in a certain part of a text, or they can react to that part. Students may want to make a claim and then support that claim with text evidence. Students can find the lesson or moral in a text and then state a real-life lesson or theme. And students may want to study the author as a writer and think about or write about the author's craft. This chart will help you think about different skills you can help your students think about before, during, and after their reading. I've attached a copy of this chart in Blackboard for your reference. Okay, for our first discussion for this module, look at the before, during, and after chart provided in Blackboard. How could you integrate writing about reading into your classroom practice? If you already have a practice of writing about reading in your classroom, you can discuss that practice as well. For our second discussion for this module, write about your thoughts concerning the data on this slide. It says, learners retain 5% of what they learn from lecture, 10% of what they learn from reading, 20% of what they learn from audiovisual, 30% of what they learn from seeing a demonstration, 50% of what they learn from engaging in group discussions, 75% of what they learn when they practice what they learn, and 90% of what they learn when they teach someone else or use their learning immediately. How does this data impact our practice as reading teachers? So today I also want to teach you that reading teachers think about transfer. That is, they teach with information retention in mind. This makes sense because, of course, we don't want our students to forget what we teach them. Reading teachers teach for transfer by using the workshop model across content areas. We use literacy learning to teach other subject areas, and we integrate media as a source of knowledge consumption. One thing reading teachers can do to help encourage transfer is to use content area word walls. Take a look at this science word wall. It has words such as attract, repel, magnet, north, and south. Imagine how much richer your conversations and writing would be if you asked students to talk like a scientist or write like a scientist by encouraging them to use these content-specific words. Reading teachers can also be sure to use text and media and encourage and teach note-taking strategies through the use of these texts during science or social studies. We know that the more that students practice reading and writing, the better they become at reading and writing. So giving students time to do this work in multiple classes across the school day gives them more of their needed practice. Reading teachers can also help students synthesize or grow ideas throughout their school day. We do this by teaching thinking prompts such as, at first I thought, but now I understand, or I theorize because, or I observed, then I learned, now I think, or now I understand why, it's because, or I learned, this makes me think, or I discovered that because, or I'm beginning to think, or I'm changing my mind about. And we can also engage students in center work, which promotes literacy in all content areas. Watch this video on Math Workshop to see how this teacher integrates literacy into math learning. This week, your assignment is to either create a mini lesson for math, science, or social studies that integrates literacy into content area learning, or you may choose to create centers for math, science, or social studies class. So for Module 6, you have 2 discussion boards and 1 assignment to complete. Also, please read Growing Readers, pages 139 through 188. And please don't forget about your inquiry study. See you next time.